Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, July 2, 2025. So we start off with Holly and Maggie, right? So Holly and Maggie is just going through graduation recently and the pictures, and she's proud of how she, did her valedictorian speech, and she talked about that she got accepted into that European school that she wanted to get into, right? So Maggie is happy for her, but she also asked her like what's her main reasons for going away so far. So she said that her mom and Eric has been going through a lot of problems, and she just wanted to be closer to her mom. And Maggie understands it, but she also says that they're grown adults, they have to work out their own problems. Are you really sure that you just really wanted to go just because of that? So she said that she just wanted to have a change of scenery. She just wanted to see the world more, right? But we all know that she on the line really just want to get away from Tate. She still is conflicted about him. So that's really it, really. So at some point, Sarah and her Debbie Downer self comes in, and there she's overhearing the conversation between Holly and Maggie about people working it out, and Sarah just comes in and said, well, sometimes love ain't enough, and sometimes people just don't work out. So she said that she's sorry to rain on their parade and everything, and Holly understands because she's going through a lot right now. And they talk about other things. They talk about her college plans and what she's going through now. She's volunteering at the women's shelter, all of that. So anyways, she leaves to go hang out with a friend. So she texts Doug about the GED thing and tutoring him. At some point he ignores that whole thing, doesn't want to go through with it any further. So she just changes her mind to text Tate and see what he's up to. But I'm saying, Holly, you acted really very, very conflicted out here. But anyways, back to Debbie Downer and her mother, Debbie Downer, right? So she's talking about again with her whole thing with Xander, and she was on the phone with him at the hospital, and she's like, what do you want, Xander? And I'm saying, again, the hostility is not necessary because the man is just calling you to find out when he can see his daughter. So she said that you can see her the next day while I'm working on my shift. So he hanged up the phone and that was it. But she was, I guess, upset by that whole thing, and she's just saying she doesn't know how she's gonna really work out co-parenting with him because both their lawyers want them to work together co-parent, but they both can't stand the sight of each other and whatever. So Maggie can see that she's conflicted about her feelings, that she still, despite all that protesting about she not liking Xander, she still loves him. She still has love for him, but she said she doesn't know if that's enough, and she can't believe that it wasn't enough to keep him here. She thought she could change him. Again, you cannot change nobody. Only a person can change himself. And you knew what you were signing up for. I keep saying, you know what you were signing up for. You know that he was a bad boy from the beginning. You didn't have to go ahead and marry him, have a child with him. You could have went your way and gone with one of them little simple nice guys, right? You like the bad boy. You and your mother like the bad boy because Maggie thought the same thing about Victor, but over time she understands that she can't change him. She have to just accept him for the good and the bad and the indifferent, right? It is what it is, right? But Sarah is still convinced that hey, she doesn't think that she can go through with it. She admires her mother's loyalty to Victor and all of that, but she doesn't think that it will work out with Xander. And honestly, I don't really want to see them together because Sarah is too much of a hypocrite for me. She's never gonna really truly accept Xander for who he is inside out. Speaking of bad guys, right? So Doug is meeting up with one of the henchmen, or I guess the boss, whatever, and they want the money, point blank, point period. And Doug is saying, hey, I don't have it yet. So he's like, look, we've been giving you chance after chance after chance, like enough is enough, time is up. So Doug is saying, just give me a little bit more time, I'll pay you in installments. So it's like, this is not no bank or whatever it is, like you need to pay up front, right? So they need their money, and at this point, like, he's like, what if I don't have it? So he said that, look, maybe we need to pay your rich friend a visit. Maybe we need to pay Holly a visit or one of your other associates. So he said that, let her stay out of this. So at this point, like, they don't want to hear this. He doesn't have the money. So at some point they're gonna go after Holly, Ari, whoever else he associate with. He is in so much trouble. And, at first when he came to Salem, I felt so bad for him. And, I really was rooting for him and Holly. But honestly, Doug, you are an embarrassment. You show off a lot more bum like qualities because you're not learning, and you just keep sinking a lot of these young girls into your mess. Yes, you try to push them away, but you're not doing a very good job of doing that, aren't you? So it wasn't much with Leo and Javi scene, more than Leo is he's on the phone with some associates to see if he can get back the necklace with Doug, but alas, it wasn't going through. So Javi's getting ready for his first day on the job. He's dressed up, and Leo is approving of all of that, and he's on his way really. So at some point Leo did call Doug, and he tells Doug that, look, there's no luck on the necklace. He tried his best. He can't trace back the necklace, right? So Doug said that's the least of his problems. He has a lot going on. So Leo's just trying to tell him to think positive, have positive affirmations, be a lot more optimistic. But at this point, like Doug said, his life is really, really, really in a big mess. So Steve pays Julia a visit unannounced. She wasn't expecting him. So Steve tells her that he's on the case to find the missing necklace. She wasn't aware of him being there because, she know Jennifer was on the case, and he said, yeah, we're all on there now with Bo and Hope. So I did manage to get a hold of, contact. I spoke with Austin, and that's Carrie's husband, Austin Reed. He has some experience in that kind of thing, able to, track down, I guess who wired whatever money regarding the necklace and stuff. So he was able to get through to that. So he said that he was gonna update Julie on that. And Julie said that, she wanted to know the value of the necklace, even though it's not much of a monetary value to her. It's really a sentimental thing because her mother was the one who bought the necklace for her grandmother. So she's just still upset at the fact that, Doug Jr. actually went ahead and do that. And, Steve is trying to just see, trying to just let her know that, look, he's a young guy, and I remember being a young guy, and I remember making mistakes myself and turning myself around. Hopefully he learned his lesson and turned himself around. So Julie is very, very skeptical about that, because she said even though she made mistakes and she shoplifted as a young person herself, like, she doesn't believe that Doug is capable of changing. She doesn't believe that he has, he's worthy of carrying her late husband's name and all of that. She believes that, he is not capable of turning his life around, and he's just gonna drown somebody else into his mess. So I'm just saying, like, this is why I cannot stand Julie. I get that she lost her husband, but she doesn't have the right to be that nasty every time. Like, she acts as if, yes, you did some messy stuff, and let's not forget that you messed around with your mother's husband, and mess up the whole thing with Hope and Doug for a while. Hope could not be comfortable around you, knowing that you guys are half sisters and everything. Let's not go down that route, right? But anyways, moving forward. So another scene that I had a gripe with was with Sophia, because as we expected, Sophia was gonna do something really irrational. So her water broke on yesterday's episode, and instead of calling her mom or calling Tate, somebody, the hospital, right? She delivers the baby there, and she puts on the hoodie, and she said, nobody can see you, because if your father sees you, he's gonna fall in love with you, and if my mom sees you, we can't give you for adoption anymore. She's gonna want me to keep you and everything, and I just need my life to go forward. Again, just thinking about herself and just being selfish as usual. So anyways, she goes, so apparently we're gonna find out that she actually goes to the hospital, or she went to the fire station and dropped the baby off in a drop box or whatever. But I guess, in a sense, that's the smart thing to do, in a sense. If you're not, it's better you do that than throw the baby in a garbage bin, like what I've really heard in real life, in the news, that a lot of moms do. But again, it's different factors and circumstances, postpartum depression, all of that. We're not getting into that deeply, but yeah, that can happen. But Anyway, she comes back and she's sobbing because she's like, did I really do the right thing? And she's worried. And, Tate at some point did send her a voice note to say, um, he looked into the lawyer and he's a great lawyer, she has great reviews, and he's all on board for that, for them from moving forward. So I don't know, this is gonna be a big mess when she reveals the Tate to what happened and her mom. I don't know how this is going to really smooth over, but let's see. So speaking of nasty Julie, because her attitude just get nastier and nastier in the episode. So she got on the phone and she was told by Bo that look, the necklace is coming back to Salem. So she is overjoyed that it's coming back because Steve was able to track down who actually has it and how they would able to get it back to Julie in time. So anyways, Doug, she runs into Doug and she's like, see her, right? She doesn't want to talk to him. So he said, Julie, one moment, I was trying to find the necklace, but I didn't get through, right? So she's just being snarky and nasty as usual and saying like, well, it's no surprise that you didn't find it. So he apologized yet again and he said that he's actually thinking of leaving town. He's trying to do the right thing. And she said, I'm sorry too. I'm sorry that I opened up my home to you. I'm sorry that I opened up my heart to you and that I trusted you, and that I'm sorry that you're bearing my late husband's name that you have no right to bear because you don't have nothing about you. You don't have any integrity, no principle, no morals, nothing about you. So you can, if you're thinking of leaving town, like get your bus ticket and just go. So she just leaves on that note. And I'm not saying you have to be that nasty to the young man. Like, the man is apologizing yet again, and you can just forgive him and move forward. You don't have to take him back into your house, but forgive him. Like, it is not the end of the world. He didn't kill nobody, right? He had other circumstances. Yes, he has made a lot of messed up choices, but you are no saint. And that's what I can't stand with these hurting people. They feel as if they're holier than thou and never make no mistake. And Sarah's like one of them too, because she is saying that, yeah, the trust is broken, whatever. You also broke the trust in your marriage. You were not upfront with Xander about what Philip did, and you keep absolving yourself like you're above that. Like, oh my gosh, the marriage is ruined because I just Xander. It is also because of you. I can't stand these people, honestly. So anyways, Holly comes over to Tate, and Tate is happy to see her because it's been a while. They graduated, they're not seeing each other as often as they would in class. So Holly tells Tate that, look, I got through for the European school, and he's happy, but at the same time, he's saying, does that mean you're leaving Salem? So she said, yeah, a lot of things is going on, but I have to be real with you. Like, I just wanted to get away from you, but at the same time, I'm just conflicted because I still love you. I am, it's just a lot going on, between you and Sophia having the baby, and then, you telling on Doug what he did with Julie's necklace. And he said that, yeah, it was a punk move, but it was also a punk move that Doug stole her necklace in the first place. So she agrees on that. And he asks her if she and Doug have a thing going on. So she said she thought that there would be a thing between them, but, she can't get over Tate. And, Tate is overjoyed to hear that. She said nothing went on between her and Doug. And, yeah, that was really it. So anyways, they're kissing and they're embracing each other. And she's wondering if Sophie is just going to show up because she always shows up, bad timing. She knows she's going through a lot, but she always just, dampens the mood. So he said no. I had a voice note to her and she didn't respond. So she's probably sleeping. So they had their little time together, right? Javi's there and he's talking with Kayla, and Kayla is just commending him on his work so far, his first night. So at some point, Steve and Kayla are talking, and Steve tells Kayla the good news about the necklace, and she's saying, seems as if you're going to be busy with your whole unretiring thing and the investigation firm and all that. So he said, I wouldn't say busy, but anyways, while they were talking, and she was heading off her shift, Javi comes over with the baby. So he's saying that he needs her to look over the baby, and the umbilical cord is still attached. So she's like saying, where's the mom? So he said that the mom, we couldn't find the mom. You just saw the baby in the drop box, right? Sorry. So anyway, she examined him, and he seems to be perfectly healthy, even though he's not full term completely, but now they're thinking of, you know, having a social worker there and foster services. So Steve is saying no, it can't work that way because he has a personal thing with the foster care. He grew up in foster homes and it was very traumatic for him. So he's saying maybe we can adopt the baby. We've done it before back in the day, and if we know, we've been watching for years ago, we know that Stephen Kayla did actually adopt a baby. I think it was related to Philip somehow. I don't remember if it was Patch or I can't remember the baby's name. If you guys remember, just sound out in the comments below. But anyways, Harvey said I have an idea. So Harvey brings home the baby, without consulting Leo, brings home the baby and say he's ours for now. So let's see how that goes tomorrow. So comment below your thoughts on today's episode, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.